Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Capcan and today we're gonna look at best Unholy Death Knight talent tree builds from Dragonflight pre-patch. It's currently 28th of October, which means that Dragonflight expansion itself is 1 month away from us. It's currently pre-patch, we still have our legendaries, we still have our covenant abilities, and our passives on talent trees are still not enough, which means that all these builds are gonna change going into Dragonflight expansion itself. And that means that if you want to see updated versions of these builds, if you want to see more information on pre-patch itself, subscribe to the channel. You wouldn't really regret it. Yeah, so we're taking information from Wowhead.com that gives us this opportunity to learn about different specialization classes, different kinds of stuff. So thanks for them. Link is gonna be in pinned comment below the video, and links on the builds themselves are gonna be there as well. So let's read a little bit about the author of the article and then go for the builds themselves. I'm Basic Spump, a semi-hardcore player currently playing on Kazakh. You can often find me on the Death Knight Discord discussing rotations and builds, on his stream, running some juicy Mythic Plus, or on his YouTube channel where he does video guides. A big shout out to everyone on the Akira's Discord that have given him valuable insight through numerous discussions. So yeah, that's your guild, that's your, I'm sorry, guide writer. Thanks for everyone who was creating this, and now let's get some knowledge for us. Unholy Death Knight raid talent builds. There are two viable builds for raiding, a generic one that very much resembles the gameplay of Shadowlands, as well as a disease-focused one that excels when picking up the soul warped seal of Manithil ring. So that's quite specific. You need this item, and we're probably gonna see at default build, and yeah, we're gonna look at disease build as well. So default build, this will be your go-to talent build in the Dragonflight pre-patch. It picks up the highest single target throughput that will work well in pretty much all raiding encounters. If the boss you are fighting contains moats, I'd rather go for a full Mythic Plus wound setup, or just pick up Epidemic. Sacrificing Coil of Devastation, sacrificing increases to your death coil to do so. So yeah, that's your talent build. You can look up at key talents in order for yourself to understand which ones are crucial and which ones are not really. Let's go with generic talent tree of Death Knights. Generally, Chains of Ice, our slow, our interrupt, then permafrost, your auto attacks grant you an absorb shield, so additional sustain. Icebound Fortitude, one of our main defensive cooldowns, more uptime on our defensive cooldown, which is definitely going to be very good in raid. Increased critical strike chance passive, absorbs are 15% more effective on you, and auto attacks have a chance to generate runic power, so just additional resource generation as well. In center part, we have Death Strike, which heals us if we've taken big chunks of damage previously. Anti-magic shield, increased anti-magic shield. March of Darkness, Death Advance grants an additional movement speed, which gives you additional mobility, and it's very crucial for us. We're taking Veteran of the Third War, stamina increased by 20%, gives us more chunky HP. But one question, why aren't we taking Anti-Magic Zone? It's definitely can be very good in raids, but I'm not the guide writer here, which means that I can only do my own observations and think for myself. So Raised Dead is taken for us by the game. Cleaving Strikes, Scorch Strike hits up to 7 additional enemies while you're in Death and Decay. Definitely good. Enfeeble, your ghouls attacks have a chance to apply Enfeeble, reducing enemies movement speed and the damage they deal to you, which is definitely very strong stuff, especially on Unholy. Brittle, your diseases have a chance to weaken your enemy, causing your attacks against them to deal increased damage. More strength means more damage. Death Pact, it's when you can eat your ghoul in order to heal yourself. Wraith Walk is additional active for you to have more mobility. Will of the Necropolis, damage taken below 30 health is reduced by 35%, which is massive for you to live through hardest times in bosses, in raids. Rune Mastery, consuming a rune has a chance to increase your strength, which is just passive proccing damage increase, increases the effectiveness of your rune forge effects. Again, very good. And Soul Reaper. Strike an enemy with Shadow Frost damage and inflict an enemy with Soul Reaper. After 5 seconds, if the target is below 35% health, this effect will explode, dealing additional, much bigger Shadow Frost damage to the target. If the enemy that yields experience or honor dies while affected by Soul Reaper, gain Runic Corruption. So that's probably for you to more like focus the ads. And yeah, so we're taking Soul Reaper here. And then now let's go for our specialization talent tree, starting with Festering Strike, Scorch Strike, and Raise Dead, which all these three abilities are like quintessential to your subclass and to your specialization. Then Outbreak, it's our AoE spreader and like inflictor. Yeah, that's like AoE damage ability. Dark Transformation, it's damage cooldown for your ghoul. Then we're taking improved, it's ghoul, yeah. Raises ghoul, yeah. So improved Festering Strike, so more emphasis on your single target damage. Then Apocalypse, which creates a bunch of Festering Wounds on the target. It bursts a bunch of Festering Wounds on the target, so that's like in someone's Army of the Dead. That's very good. The damage cooldown, especially on single target. Cooldown of Dark Transformation, which is this skill, is decreased, which means that you will have more uptime on your additional damage cooldowns for the ghoul. Eternal Agony, Death Coil, and Epidemic increase the duration of Dark Transformation. More emphasis on you increasing the damage of your pet. Death Rod. Death Coil and Epidemic debilitate your enemy, applying Death Rod, causing them to take 1% increased shadow damage for up to 10% for 10 seconds. If Death Coil or Epidemic consumes Sudden Doom, it applies 2 stacks of Death Rod. So yeah, as you can see, just a generic increase of damage. Army of the Dead. Oh, wait a second. I've skipped a little bit here. Magus of the Dead, Apocalypse, and Army of the Dead also summon a Magus of the Dead who hurls Frost Bolts and Shadow Bolts at your foes. Army of the Dead summons a Legion of Ghouls, very powerful damaging cooldown with 8 minutes cooldown, which says about its power. Yeah, you probably don't really want to skip it. Army of the Damned, Apocalypse cooldown is reduced. Additionally, Death Coil reduces the cooldown of Army of the Dead by 5 seconds. And will make your uptime on Apocalypse and Army of the Dead way better. Super Strain, that was one of our, if I'm correct, that was one of our legendary. In Shadowlands, your Virulent Plague also applies Frost Fever and Blood Plague at 80% effectiveness, which means more dots. We need more dots. Then after Dark Transformation, in like right part of the tree, we're taking Infected Claws. So your ghoul is stacking Festering Wounds on the target from time to time. Yeah, 30% chance from time to time. That's just like how I said it. Plaguebringer, Scorch Strike causes your disease damage to occur 100% more quickly for 5 seconds, which is massive multiplier for your damage, for parts of your damage. Sudden Doom, your auto attack have a chance to make your next Death Coil cost no runic power, and it's like roughly 3 times per minute, which is again just free additional damage. Improved Death Coil deals additional damage and 6 out 1 additional nearby enemy, which may not be the it's definitely useful, but you're probably taking this talent more for like 30% additional damage. Dark Transformation creates an unholy pact between you and your pet, igniting flaming chains that deal shadow damage over 15 seconds to enemies between you and your pet. So yeah, that's additional like damage for you and some synergy with your pet here and there. Reaping, your Soul Reaper, Scorch Strike, Festering Strike, and Death Coil deals additional damage to enemies below 35% health, which is definitely gonna help you strike down those bosses who are on low HP. Coil of Devastation, Death Coil causes the target to take an additional 30% of the direct damage dealt over 4 seconds, so a little bit of dots here and there, more dots. And summon Gargoyle. Summon a Gargoyle into the area to bombard the target for 25 seconds. The Gargoyle gains 1% increased damage for every 1 runic power you spend, and it generates 50 runic power. That's one of our like greatest cooldowns from all like specializations history. And it's very cool that we can take it with along with some other stuff. So yeah, in key talents you will see what you 100% need to take, what not 100% need to take. And now disease build. And is it that much different? So you're taking the strip talents, and what instead are you abandoning? Oh yeah. So you're getting 3 talents out of here. 3, right? There's 2 talent, no, 1 talent point, 1 talent point, and holy moly, I'm not gonna find it. Oh, and Death Rot. And we're taking Unholy Blight, surrounds yourself with while of swarm of insects that deal damage, replenishing wounds. When a festering wound pops, it generates additional 2 runic power, and Ibon Favor. Virulent Plague deals 15% more damage over time in half the duration. So yeah, that's a viable alternative, is the disease build that focuses heavily on your damage from Virulent Plague and other diseases. It relies heavily on having the Soul Warped Seal of Manethil, which your damaging spells have a chance to inflict despair upon your enemies, increasing the effect of your diseases against them by 218 for 12 seconds. You have a greater chance to inflict despair against enemies who are at higher health. You can see here. It's viable without it, but simply so much stronger with it. It presents a quite different game style with extremely high priority on maintaining your diseases as well as the Plague Bringer buff. So yeah, that's your alternative raid build. And now we will go for our M+. And here we have same stuff like disease build and generic build. So for Mythic Plus, Unholy has 2 great builds one can play. You either focus completely on Bursting Swords. Bursting a Festering Wounds deal 20% more damage and deals shadow damage to all nearby enemies. Yeah, so you popping your Festering Wounds is gonna deal AoE damage with the insane quadratic scaling, or you build into diseases with the Soul Warped Seal of Manethil, getting really high consistent damage. So yeah, let's go with our wounds build. Okay, so how does it differ from this generic talent tree? Oh, it goes quite more heavy on this part. So yeah, let's see for our starting. So starting talents are mostly the same. We're taking March of Darkness. So Death's Advance grants an additional movement speed. Oh, we're not taking it. Yeah, we're not taking it. So because we probably don't really need that much mobility in Mythic Plus. Then we're taking our blind slate that blinds and disorients enemies, which is definitely going to be good in M+. And afterwards we're going with, yeah, in this part it's all the same as except for Death Pact and Wrathwalk. We're not taking them. We're going for Grip of the Dead. Death and Decay reduces the movement speed of enemies for easier kites and stuff. Unholy Ground gain 5% haste while you remain within your Death and Decay. Then Death's Echo, Death's Advance, Death Decay, and Death Grip have 1 additional charge. And Unholy Bond increases the effectiveness of your Runeforge effects by 10%, which we've had, but we've had it twice as more effective. And then as we've cancelled these talents, we're cancelling Will of the Necropolis, right? Yes, we're cancelling Rune Mastery and Soul Reaper, and we're taking this road. Insidious Chill. Your auto attacks reduce the target's auto attack speed by 5%, stacking up to 4 times. Then Icy Talons. Your runic power spending abilities increase your melee attack speed. Again, stacks up to 3 times. And we're taking Empower Rune Weapon, which just grants you haste, generates you runes and runic power instantly and every 5 seconds. So yeah, that's what we're taking in general talent tree comparatively to our rating one. And in in here we have completely different build. Which means that I'm gonna be like a little bit more general in talents. Maybe not every talent is gonna get my attention, but you're either way gonna use this build, so that's probably not a problem. So we're still going into Dark Transformation. Obviously we're going into Infected Claws, Sudden Doom, your auto attacks have a chance to make your next death coil cost no runic power, and Unholy Pact. Yeah, still the same thing. Plague Bringer, Score Strike causes your disease damage to occur 100% more quickly. Yeah, so this part is the same, it's just way less of talents there. Then we're not taking Megas of the Dead, and we're not going into Super Strain. Yeah, and we're taking more talents in here. Okay, so we're taking Unholy Blight, we're taking Epidemic, which is obvious, yeah, that's very good AoE spender. Then we're taking Replenishing Wounds. When a Festering Wound pops, it generates additional runic power. We're taking Bursting Sorrows, which is one of our, like, yeah, it's core pillar to this build. When you're bursting your Festering Wounds, they are dealing AoE damage. You're taking Vile Contagion, inflict disease upon your enemies, spreading Festering Wounds to equal to the amount currently active on your target, so you can like stack big amount of your wounds on one target and then spread them out. Definitely gonna be very good with 1.5 minute cooldown. We're taking Death Rot. And then we're going into Fester Might. Popping a Fester Wound increases your strength by 2% for 20 seconds. Stacking does not refresh the duration, so you can increase your strength pretty good. And then you're taking Unholy Assault. Strike your target, dealing shadow damage, inflicting the target with 4 festering wounds and setting you into an Unholy Frenzy, increasing haste. So it's probably you're like using your Unholy Assault, maybe stacking a little bit more with Festering Strike, then you're spreading your wounds with your Vile Contagion, and then you're starting to pop them and dealing massive AoE damage. So that's mostly it. And our disease build differs not as much. Oh no, it differs quite as much. Yeah, so it's probably gonna be way easier to compare it with this disease build. No? Yes? No? Yeah, so we're taking Epidemic in order for us to just like have AoE spender. Unholy Command, the cooldowns it's still in here. Yeah, everything else looks quite similar. We're just skipping Reaping and Summon Gargoyle, and we're taking two talents in Morbidity. Diseased enemies take 2% increased damage from you per disease they are affected by. So yeah, a little bit more emphasis in AoE, and cut some talents from the raid build if we're talking about disease builds, and that's it. The point of this build is to build it to simply apply all our diseases and then keep 100% uptime on Plague Bringer. Score Strike causes your disease damage to occur 100% more quickly. This deals an insane amount of dot damage overall. And that's our builds for Unholy Death Knights. Thanks for your attention, thanks for your time. If you want to have more content like this, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thanks for Wowhead for all the information. Have a good day. I hope pre-patch is going great and Dragonflight will be even better for you. Yeah, have a good day. Goodbye.